Caitlin's series right now on the WFSB News app. So before classes really get into full swing, we want to know, how can families help?
Psychologist and director of the Hartford Healthcare Center for Gender Health, Dr. Laura Saunders, is here with some tips and tools for us to help make the new school year a little bit easier on everybody. Good morning, Doc. How's it going?
Good morning. Happy Thursday, Marcy and Roger. Yes, we are talking about, that was really focusing on teacher burnout, but what can you do as parents to support our teachers because they deserve our support and our help?
Absolutely.
Well, so what are some of those things, Doctor, that would be good steps for families to take?
So I think it's healthy habits start at home. That's where we need to start, right? It's establishing healthy habits around bedtimes, around behavior and behavior management, around, nutrition, making sure kids have something to eat before they get to school, or a lot of school programs now have breakfast. So doing some basic things at home to create that good start for the school day.
That's so interesting. I also think, speaking from experience, when I was younger, there was such a difference between going to school and then coming home because, in school, you're sitting in one spot, you're just listening to the teacher. And I think maybe consistency kind of going from school and home and back again. What are some of the things that you could do to really engage your student at home in the continuance of the learning?
So it really is, the reality is there's homework. Even in, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, there's, time to read, either read to your child or have your child do some reading on their own. So it's creating a space, and it could be, you don't need a large space, but it could be a desk or a table. So creating some space for them to learn. I think it's a really critical thing is keeping open communication with your child's teacher. Communicating with them, emailing them, really keeping open communication because their child's teacher is seeing them for a large chunk of the day when they're awake. So they have a lot of good information and a lot of good developmental perspective.
But Doctor, how do you draw the line? Because you certainly don't want to overburden the teachers and make them more stressed out, add to their level of burnout. You want to help your teachers and you want to obviously help your children. So is there a way that you figure, okay, this is the right amount of communication, or is any amount the proper amount?
Yeah, I don't think you need to be emailing the teacher every day, but if you have a concern at home to say, ask your child's teacher, are you seeing anything in school? Or to say, I'm going to Costco and picking up supplies. Is there anything that you need in your classroom, right? So little things. And that's a big thing is that there is so much that teachers pay for out of pocket, and doing little things, bringing in a set of markers or donating supplies, I think is really critical.
I love that. Tell us a little bit about, displaying trust in your students' teachers and really being an advocate for them. So kind of putting on a united front.
Kids mimic what they hear their parents say. So if, as a parent, if you're saying disparaging things about your child's teacher or about the school system or about the district, kids will mimic that. And then they will act out a lack of respect. So be very careful with your words. Trust your teachers, advocate for them. They're generally very well trained. They might not have enough resources, but they're in teaching because they want to do right by their students. Another big issue is to read and take in the communication from the school. Some schools have like a backpack Wednesday or a backpack Tuesday where communication's coming in on a certain day. Read that communication because that's critical. That's where you get a lot of information. So you don't need to email the teacher. When is picture day? When is, field day? When are all these things? Because that communication comes to you. So don't burden the teacher with extra things that you can take on the responsibility of learning yourself.
Yeah, I have to raise my hand. I have been guilty of that, especially earlier in my kids' education.
Roger.
I know, I don't always check the backpack. And teachers now are more proactive. There's more ways that they can communicate with families.
The backpack
with
is full
parents.
of clues. You know what they ate.
Yes.
You know what they did that day.
And my wife will be like, oh, do you know it's such and such day? And I'm like, of course I know that, but you might want to remind our children that the teacher told them that. Are there any other mistakes that parents you think make, especially at the beginning of a semester? It can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah, I like to look for patterns, right? So let's not get too overly anxious right at the beginning of the year. Kids are going to say, I don't want to go to school, or I have a stomach ache, or my arm hurts, or my head hurts. And you can validate that. I'm sorry to hear that your stomach hurts, but you're still going to school today. So just get through that initial adjustment period, Don't overburden teachers with a lot of unnecessary information, and do your best to support teachers. They are working very hard to not just teach, but protect your children as well.
Dr. Laura Saunders, thank you so much for being with us. Certainly learned a lot, and yeah, we can all help
Excellent
ease the
advice.
burden on our kids' teachers. Thanks again, Doctor.
Have a great day.